starts in 2010 when Level 5 released this game right here. The very first Neat Witch. And we were all sitting there on the internet going, oh my God, look at these graphics. This is unbelievable. We'd never seen anything quite like this. It looked like the perfect JRPG. But we would have to wait a few more years before we would get a localized version here. In 2013, the game was finally localized and brought out over here. There was also a special edition of this game released in this country, and everybody was going crazy to get this game. There was a little bit of a frenzy. It really was a return to JRPGs and giving us graphics and an overall look that we had never seen before. It was like, I hate to use this term, but it was like playing an anime. It was something we had not seen with graphics like this before, and it was showing really at that time what the PS3 could do. The game was released to critical praise for a lot of different things. One of them was the storyline, and this is the one thing I'm not doing today. I am not rooting the story. We'll just say this much. It starts off pretty intense, more intense than you could actually expect. I remember back in the day doing a podcast, and I had imported the Japanese version, and I went onto the podcast, and I was going, oh my God, guys, I cannot believe this game. I cannot believe this game, how it has started. It's unreal. And that's how the game begins. And from there, you're transported to a magical world with these crazy creatures. And it's JRPG combat that we've seen. The combat is interesting that you're using familiars that you can recruit and they fight beside you. So you're kind of collecting them, kind of a Pokemon style of game in that respect. And just the overall look and feel of this game, the side quests, the storyline, it was a sight to behold, and it really was a true return to JRPGs. Now, another incredible thing with this game was that the animation was handled by a legendary studio, Studio Ghibli, who had done Totoro, Laputa, and the Crimson Pig, all the classics, all the amazing classics were doing the animation, and that was unreal. So it's like a beautiful hand-in-hand marriage of gorgeous animation, really interesting combat, and incredible cutscenes by Studio Ghibli. And that brings us to right now, to the remaster. As I say, it's on PS4, it's on Nintendo Switch, and it's coming to PC as well. How is it? Is it worth picking this up again if you already had the game back then? That is a great question, and that was one that I had to dive into myself. Now, the one thing you will see as soon as you boot up the game, I'm talking from the PS4 version. All the comparisons I'm doing here are from the PS4 Pro. And to start off with, you start with an option to pick 4K, so you can pick 4K resolution at 30 frames a second, or you can do 1440p, resolution at 60 frames a second. So there's a trade-off there. So in 4K, it looks stunning. It's so bright and gorgeous. You're like, wow, this is really something. And then the 1440... You know what?
Radical Democrats and socialists like AOC, well, they shouldn't be in charge of anything, especially not all of that. In fact, I wouldn't even put Alex Corp.
Hey folks, how's it going? So before I start the video, I finally managed to get this home. This was made for me by a chap at the Minds IRL, given to me at the Minds IRL event. I'm afraid I can't remember your name because I'm terrible with names, but let me know and pin your comment or something. But this is awesome. Thank you so much for making this. All right. Cost me £1,000 to get back to the UK, or $1,000 to get this back, because it's enormous and I had to fill out weird forms, but it was worth it, and I'll make sure that it goes on my wall just behind the desk there, next to my bookcase of all of the interesting things people have given me. It definitely goes in the collection. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And speaking of things that I really appreciate, one of those other things is David Starkey going on Brendan O'Neill's podcast and telling it like it is. David Starkey is a British historian who is rather famous for speaking his mind and not being enthralled political correctness, and for demolishing feminine. Hey folks, how's it going? So before I start the video, I finally managed to get this home. This was made for me by a chap at the Minds IRL, given to me at the Minds IRL event. I'm afraid I can't remember your name because I'm terrible with names, but let me know and pin your comment or something. But this is awesome. Thank you so much for making this. All right. Cost me £1,000 to get back to the UK, or $1,000 to get this back, because it's enormous and I had to fill out weird forms, but it was worth it, and I'll make sure that it goes on my wall just behind the desk there, next to my bookcase of all of the interesting things people have given me. It definitely goes in the collection. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And speaking of things that I really appreciate, one of those other things